Welcome to our video today, where we tell you the untold story of the 25th Dynasty Pharaoh. Have you ever been curious about the story of the 25th Dynasty Pharaohs that has never been told? Did they really want to take over Egypt? Or were they just trying to make some name for themselves in history? Were they slaves, religious freaks, or something else? In this video, we'll look at the 25th Dynasty Pharaoh's history and find out what really happened. So take a seat, put your feet up, and get ready to hear the 25th Dynasty Pharaoh's story as it's never been told before. The Kingdom of Kemet was once a powerful empire in Northeast Africa. During the Third Intermediate Period, the central authority of the empire was weakened, leading to fragmentation and instability. Regional leaders and elites competed for power, and the kingdom was divided into two parts. In Lower Kemet, a pharaoh of Western origin, Smendes ruled from the city of Tanis in Delta region, while in Upper Kemet, the high priests of Ramon gained power and established a monarchy centered around the city of Thebes. Despite the division, the two regions of Kemet continued to share cultural and religious traditions. The god Amun, worshipped at Thebes, remained an important deity throughout the kingdom, and the pharaohs of the Lower Kemet sought legitimacy through their relationship with him. The ancient kingdoms of Northeast Africa were among the most powerful and influential civilizations of their time. One such kingdom was Kush, located south of Kemet. In the mid-700s BCE, the monarchs of Kush launched a series of military campaigns to conquer Kemet, which was located to the north. The kings of Kush were known for their formidable military might and quickly gained a reputation as fearsome warriors. They were able to defeat the armies of Kemet and establish their rule over the region. This marked the beginning of the 25th dynasty, with the first ruler of the dynasty being Pi, who invaded Kemet in 747 BC. Under the rule of Pi, Kemet experienced a time of great change and upheaval. The kings of Kush were devoted to rebuilding the greatness of Nile Valley civilizations, as they brought with them an advanced culture and new ideas. This period of cultural exchange and innovation had a profound impact on the development of Kemet and the wider region. The rule of the Black Pharaohs of Kush over Kemet lasted from around 747 to 653 BCE, and during this time, Kush was better than Kemet in terms of influence and power. The rulers of Kush were able to easily destroy Kemet, and they established their dominance over the region. Pi's invasion of Egypt was a significant military campaign that began in 747 BC. Pi was the king of the Nubian kingdom of Kush, which was located to the south of Egypt in what is now modern-day Sudan. The Kushites had been trading with the Egyptians for years, and the tension between the two powers had been rising. Pi saw an opportunity to establish his dominance. Pi had a great army of warriors, including archers, chariot drivers, and foot soldiers, and led them towards Egypt. He targeted Herculopolis, which was then the capital city of the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, and later proceeded to Memphis, the capital of the Old Kingdom, having defeated the Egyptian ruler there. The Egyptian pharaohs surrendered to him one by one as they were unable to resist Pi's superior might. He later established his capital city of Napata in Nubia and continued to rule over Egypt. Pi's invasion, too, of Egypt was significant as it marked the beginning of the 25th dynasty of Egypt, which was also known as the Nubian or Kushite dynasty. It also marked the end of the Third Intermediate Period in Egyptian history, which was characterized by political instability and weakness. Shabaka, the 25th dynasty's second monarch, was the younger brother of the dynasty's founder, Pi. He succeeded Pi to the throne in 716 BC and ruled over Egypt until his death in 702 BC. He carried on the expansionist and reformist ideas of his older sibling. Upon taking the throne, Shabaka faced the challenges of restoring Egypt's stability after the economic decline and political instability. Under his rule, he expanded and decorated with new sculptures and artwork the magnificent Temple of Amun at Karnak. He also commissioned several impressive monuments and statues, including the legendary Sphinx of Taharqa, a magnificent piece of artwork. In addition to his contributions to the arts, Shabaka was also a dedicated follower of the god Amun and was credited with reforming the priesthood of Amun. He recognized that the cult of Amun had become a bit disorganized and corrupt over time, and he worked to sort and organize its rituals and practices. This helped to strengthen the power and influence of the priesthood. Shebeku was the third pharaoh of the 25th Dynasty of Egypt. He was a nephew to Pi. He succeeded Shabaka in the throne in 702 BC and continued to rule over both Egypt and Nubia during his reign, which lasted until 690 BC. Shebeku worked to maintain stability and prosperity of the kingdom, like his predecessors made. He expanded the influence of his dynasty through fighting wars and making political deals. He worked to maintain peace and stability in his kingdom and nurtured good relations with the neighboring powers, trying to ensure the continued prosperity of Egypt and Nubia under his rule. Shebeku was also a supporter of the arts and culture. While he was in charge, the arts and culture in the kingdom continued to grow. He paid for several impressive works of art and architecture, such as the impressive granite Sphinx of Bubastis, which is now on show at the Louvre Museum in Paris. The invasion of Kemet by the kings of Kush marked a significant turning point in the history of both kingdoms. The 25th dynasty saw a shift in power from Kemet to Kush, with the kings of Kush ruling over Kemet as well. The Black Pharaohs of Kush brought with them a sophisticated culture and a deep devotion to rebuilding the greatness of Nile Valley civilizations. They promoted the arts, literature, and architecture, and many of their works reflected a blending of Comitian and Cushitic styles. Under the rule of the 25th dynasty, Kemet experienced a revival of its cultural and artistic traditions. The pharaohs of the 25th dynasty were patrons of the arts, commissioning grand monuments and temples that incorporated elements of both Comitian and Cushitic design. Despite the turmoil and conflict that marked the period of Kushite rule over Kemet, there were also monuments of cultural exchange and innovation. The Black Pharaohs of Kush were known for their tolerant and inclusive approach to religion and culture, incorporating elements of both Comitian and Cushitic belief systems into their own. The Kushites brought their own religious beliefs and customs to Egypt, and these traditions blended with the existing Egyptian culture to create a unique blend of Nubian and Egyptian traditions. The Kushites also built many temples and monuments in Egypt, including the famous Temple of Amun at Karnak. Overall, Pi's invasion of Egypt was a turning point in Egyptian history, and it established the Nubian dynasty as the major power in the region. It marked the beginning of a new dynasty and a time of great change and cultural exchange. The legacy of these powerful kings can still be seen in the archaeological remains and cultural traditions of the region today. Throughout history, there have been numerous debates and controversies surrounding significant events and figures. One such debate is regarding the Kushite kings and their alleged invasion of Egypt in 747 BC. European scholars have put forth the theory that it was a slave revolt, while others believe it was a group of African kingdoms influenced by their northern neighbors' culture and religion. The question that remains unanswered is whether the Kushite kings really invaded Egypt in 747 BC, and if so, what were their motivations? Were they simply a group of slaves trying to overthrow their Egyptian masters, or were they a group of fanatics obsessed with Egypt's religion? Moreover, the title of Black Pharaohs has been associated with the Kushite kings, but were they the only Black Pharaohs, or were there any indigenous white pharaohs in Egypt? Laszlo Torak and Maria Carmo-Legato have challenged the traditional narrative of ancient Egyptian history. According to Torak, the Kushites did not invade and conquer Egypt, but rather were placed on the throne by the indigenous rulers of Kemet, who accepted their legitimacy. Meanwhile, Carmo-Legato argues that there was a strong entanglement between the people of Nubia and Kemet, and that the distinction between the two populations would not have made sense during the pre-dynastic period. Torak cites the fact that descendants of Delta rulers still enjoyed high status during the Kushite period as evidence of a peaceful takeover. He noted that to secure Kushite rule over the whole country, Pi had to conquer the Delta region and put the entire Nile Valley under the rule of the same pharaoh. This had never been done before. Torak also emphasized that being inducted as a king by the legitimate and traditional rulers of Kemet, the Upper Egyptians, who were the original Egyptians, along with the Nubians, granted higher authority over the whole country to the Kushite rulers. Carmo-Legato points out that there were strong religious ties between Nubia and Kemet, with Nubia being believed to be the land of the origin of the gods. Additionally, the national narrative recorded in the Ifu texts, or the prophecy of Nefertiti, connected the rulers of Kemet to Nubia. These factors, combined with the conflicts that existed between the north and the south in Kemet at the time, gave the Kushite rulers a strong claim to the civilization. As we come to the end of the video, it's clear that the history of the relationship between Kush and Kemet is much more complex than previously thought. Rather than a simple invasion or conquest, there was a deep entanglement of culture and history that existed between the two regions, dating back to ancient times. Thank you for watching today's episode.